The world is in chaos right now. Across the globe, armed conflicts are stirring. Aside from the Russia-Ukraine war and the Israel-Palestine conflict, the Our Rule of Law in Armed Conflict online portal of the Geneva Academy monitors over 110 armed conflicts in the world today. While not all of them have global implications, a few of them have the potential to escalate into an all-out nuclear war. But little did people know that nuclear warfare isn't the only scary thing about these nuclear weapons. Have you ever heard of broken arrow incidents? Since the 1950s, there have been 32 confirmed cases of nuclear weapon accidents, also known as broken arrows. In military parlance, broken arrow is clearly defined as an unexpected event that involves the accidental firing, loss, theft, or detonation of a nuclear weapon. What's so worrisome right now is that there are 6 nuclear weapons that have been lost and never recovered. The first case of a broken arrow took place on February 13, 1950. This particular event involves a B-36 aircraft during a simulated combat mission from Eielson AFB to Carswell AFB. The aircraft was carrying a dummy capsule as part of its mission. After approximately 6 hours in the air, the aircraft encountered significant mechanical issues, necessitating the shutdown of 3 engines. At this critical juncture, the aircraft was cruising at an altitude of 12,000 feet, and the presence of icing conditions added further complexity to the emergency situation, preventing the aircraft from maintaining level flight. As the situation became increasingly precarious, the decision was made to steer the aircraft out over the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. At an altitude of 8,000 feet, the crew released the weapon, leading to a striking and brilliant flash upon impact, accompanied by a resonating sound and a powerful shockwave. It's important to note that only the high explosive material within the weapon detonated, leaving the capsule unharmed. On the flip side, the most recent case of broken arrow was on August 12, 2000. This one occurred in the Barents Sea, which involved the tragic sinking of the Oscar II-class submarine Kursk, which was part of the Commonwealth of Independent States, or CIS. The submarine met its untimely demise following a catastrophic onboard explosion. Despite valiant efforts to save the lives of the 118 men on board, tragically, all rescue attempts ended in failure. Preliminary investigations suggested that the accident may have been triggered by a torpedo malfunction. Fortunately, the radiation levels in the vicinity remained within normal parameters, providing some relief in an otherwise dire situation. Right now, Russia has the highest number of nuclear warheads, with a total of 5,889. 1,674 of these warheads are currently deployed. It is obviously followed by the United States, having a total of 5,244 warheads. It is worth noting that between the two, the United States is the only signatory in the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. Russia, on the other hand, is just a ratifier of the said multilateral agreement. According to official reports, the United States has lost at least 3 nuclear bombs. This is quite alarming because the locations of these bombs were never really traced. All we know right now is that these bombs are out there. The Palomares Incident was the most popular incident where the United States lost one of its highly dangerous nuclear warheads. The said accident occurred on January 17, 1966, when a US B-52 bomber collided with a tanker plane, dropping 4 hydrogen bombs. 3 bombs landed near Palomares, Spain, contaminating the area. The 4th was found in the Mediterranean. Unfortunately, the bomb already sank at the bottom of the sea, with its location never being confirmed. As far as I know, the United States is still looking for the missing bomb, as it contains a 1.1 megaton warhead. The latter has an explosive power of 1,100,000 tons of TNT. The first time the United States casually lost its warhead was in 1958 near Tybee Island, Georgia. It involved a 3,400-kilogram Mark 15 thermonuclear bomb on a B-47 bomber training mission. A mix-up led to a collision, damaging the aircraft. In a daring move, the pilot dropped the bomb into Wassaw Sound Bay, plunging the weapon 30,000 feet below the waters. Fortunately, no detonation ensued. But then again, the bomb was never found. The second incident, in 1965, unfolded in the Philippine Sea during a military exercise. A B-43 thermonuclear bomb was aboard the USS Ticonderoga when an A-4E Skyhawk fell off a plane elevator, unnoticed by the pilot. The plane, with the nuclear payload, sank into the depths of the sea. Jeffrey Lewis, the director of the East Asia Non-Proliferation Program at the James Martin Center for Non-Proliferation Studies, California, said that most of the broken arrow incidents we know are actually from the United States. The public only knew of these nuclear mishaps when the United States Department of Defense declassified a summary of these incidents in the 1980s. It was also worth noting that broken arrows were common during the Cold War, when the United States was facing off against the Soviet Union, with the only safety net being the concept of mutually assured destruction. The Operation Chrome Dome was one of the highlights of the said era. This particular operation is a U.S. Air Force Cold War program that ran from 1960 to 1968. It involved airborne alert missions with nuclear-armed B-52 bombers in constant flight, ready to respond to potential Soviet nuclear threats. These bombers were in the air 24/7, maintaining a continuous airborne alert status. The goal of Operation Chrome Dome was to ensure a rapid and reliable nuclear response capability during the Cold War, with bombers in the air at all times, reducing the risk of a surprise attack. Eventually, the program was suspended because of the accidents that occurred throughout its operation. The Palomares Incident was among the most notorious tragedies that pushed the United States government to put Chrome Dome to sleep. With this being said, it is safe to say that we don't know about the actual number of broken arrows committed by other countries. I mean, if the United States, being the leading superpower in the world, has these accidents, then what could we expect from other nuclear-capable countries? We have no knowledge about what's happening on the side of Russia, China, France, or the United Kingdom. And that's pretty much alarming. Of course, I have to emphasize that the nuclear records of the Soviet Union are quite murky. Keep in mind that, at its height, the Soviet Union was able to amass a stockpile of at least 40,000 nuclear weapons. Notably, it has some cases where it lost its nuclear bombs. But unlike the United States, the Soviet Union's tragedies were all confined to submarines. While the whereabouts are known, accessing them remains a challenge. The first known case was unfolded on April 8, 1970. The setting was the treacherous Bay of Biscay, where a fire ignited within the Soviet K-8 nuclear-powered submarine, a vessel fraught with danger. The K-8 held 4 nuclear torpedoes as it plunged into the depths, bringing down its radioactive cargo with it. Yet, these sunken time bombs weren't always content to rest. In 1968, another Soviet submarine, the K-129, met a mysterious demise in the Pacific Ocean near Hawaii, bringing with it 3 nuclear missiles. Learning of this perilous situation, the United States embarked on a covert mission to reclaim the submerged nuclear treasures. Of course, the U.S. failed to retrieve the said bombs. Billionaire Howard Hughes, whose endeavors ranged from aviation to filmmaking, pretended to take an interest in deep-sea mining. But in reality, he was creating a much more peculiar project. A colossal claw meant to descend to the ocean's depths, grasp the sunk K-129 submarine, and hoist it to the surface. This ambitious venture, known as Project Azorian, ultimately proved ill-fated. As the submarine was raised, disaster struck, leading to its disintegration. However, others believe that Hughes was able to recover the bomb, but these are all speculations. Based on these tales, the United States officially lost 3 nuclear bombs, while the Soviets had a number of nuclear-equipped torpedoes sunk in the ocean. As far as I know, these lost weapons are mostly forgotten. There were known efforts to recover these missing warheads, but all of them yielded no success. So right now, the biggest question is this: what are the chances for these rogue weapons to explode? Nuclear bombs are designed with numerous safety mechanisms to prevent accidental detonation. These safety features are rigorously engineered and tested to ensure that the bombs will not explode if they are lost, damaged, or even involved in a crash. While it's theoretically possible for some components to be damaged in a way that could cause a non-nuclear explosion, for example, a conventional explosion, the likelihood of a full nuclear detonation in such circumstances is extremely low. Nuclear bombs typically require precise and intentional actions to arm and initiate the nuclear reaction. These actions involve arming and firing systems and multiple layers of security to prevent unauthorized use. In the event of an accident or mishap, these safety measures are designed to prevent a nuclear explosion. However, while the risk of a nuclear explosion from a lost bomb is low, the risk of radioactive contamination or other hazards associated with the bomb's conventional explosives or the release of fissile material is a significant concern, which is why extensive efforts are made to recover lost or damaged nuclear weapons. Having numerous protective measures is absolutely essential because, truth be told, they're not infallible. A good example took place in 1961. A B-52 aircraft above Goldsboro, North Carolina, tore apart in the sky and eventually dropped 2 nuclear bombs on the Earth below. Now, one of these bombs emerged relatively unscathed, thanks to a working parachute. However, upon closer inspection, a disconcerting truth emerged. 3 out of the 4 critical safeguards designed to prevent an accidental nuclear detonation had failed, underscoring the imperative of stringent safety protocols in the world of nuclear weapons. A declassified 1963 document reveals the chilling verdict of the then U.S. Secretary of Defense. He described the incident as a near miss where, by the slimmest margin of fate, the failure of just 2 wires to connect prevented a nuclear catastrophe. In today's world, governments express confidence that the Cold War-era losses won't recur. Operation Chrome Dome ended in 1968, and nuclear-armed planes no longer embarked on routine training missions. Yet, an exception lingers: nuclear submarines. Presently, the U.S. operates 14 ballistic missile submarines, while France and the U.K. have 4 each. These subs, essential for deterrence, must operate stealthily, unable to transmit signals to the surface. Navigating primarily through inertia, they rely on gyroscopes to determine their positions, a system with room for potential error. Recent incidents, like a 2018 near collision between a British SSBN and a ferry, remind us that the age of lost nuclear weapons might not be entirely behind us. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please subscribe to Beyond Life. I know doing these things is a chore, but with those little clicks, you can help our channel grow and allow us to produce more value-oriented content just like this. That's it for now. Stay safe and see you in the next one.